After 4 years, Valorant is finally on console. It's a game that I didn't expect to be on console, and quite frankly, I wasn't sure it'd work. But I'm actually pretty happy with how the game's turned out, so go grab some popcorn as I give my review of console Valorant. Now I want to preface this review by saying that I've never played the PC version of Valorant, nor have I played CSGO. In fact, the only experience I have in this genre is by playing Rogue Company. But I think I can give some insight, especially to new players who might be picking up the game for the first time like me. So what is Valorant? Valorant is a 5v5 tactical shooter, compromising of a defending team and an attacking team. The attacking team must plant the spike, and the defending team must either prevent the spike being planted or defuse it. As the rounds progress, you earn more money to buy weapons and character abilities. The characters, or agents as they're known, add a flavour to Valorant that make it stand out, and it's the first area that I want to delve into. Whilst these characters aren't as game-changing as seen in a game like Overwatch, their abilities can certainly change the tide of a battle, and it's important to learn how both the abilities can work for you and how you can counter them to give your team the advantage. So far I've enjoyed learning these characters, and generally with hero shooters like this, the early days are always more fun as you try out all the new abilities and try and find a main. Some characters are better for attacking, and some are obviously better for defending. And as you can't switch to a character at halftime, it makes versatility and knowing your character vital to success. The agents are separated into 4 classes. Duelists like Phoenix have abilities to take fights head on, and rack up a couple kills before entry. His abilities such as a flashbang, or his ultimate that gives him a second chance are perfect for swinging corners. Controllers like Harbour are used to gain map control over the enemy. Abilities such as his Wall of Water can help warden off areas, or be used to mask a push into enemy lines, perfect for a quick plant. Initiators help play more of a supportive role, and help others to excel, but can be vital in the early stages of a round. Gecko, for example, has a well-rounded set of abilities that can help him quickly plant the spike. His creature can be directed towards an objective to safely plant, whilst the rest of his team can take up a defensive position. And finally, the Sentinels are more defense focused and excel in hunkering down a site. Cypher is the perfect example of this. His camera is akin to that of Valkyrie from Rainbow Six Siege, and can be used to gain intel over key choke points or to quickly gain intel around a corner. His ultimate is also a great intel tool, making him a solid option on offense as well, and even better whilst defending. Valorant does a really good job in balancing its agents, and it really surprised me. In the current state of the game, there aren't too many characters that are too overpowered or underpowered. Yes, there are obviously a couple of outliers here and there, but nothing that causes a big issue. Especially in the ranks that the majority of the player base is in, I think there's a pretty level playing field, which makes it so you have more of a choice of who you want to play. Now obviously, at higher ranks there might be must picks, but as a pretty average player myself, I can't really speak about that from my experience. What I can speak about though is the map design. Valorant brings with it a bright set of maps, all with their own little gimmicks, lines of sight, and positions that make each experience different. Some smaller maps will be 3 lanes, but with only 2 objectives, with the middle part being a risky rotation option for both teams, but a very important lane to control. Other maps have 3 lanes, but also 3 sites to defend, making the centre lane less of a rotation option in the early stages, but even more vital to control. A key theme each lane will have is a long and short choke point on each side, creating a choice depending on your class or weapon, or even the strategy your team's gone with. This makes callouts quite easy to understand as a new player, which is another thing I appreciated. In terms of standout maps, I don't think there's a better place to start than Haven. It's the first map that I played, and well, it was able to show me everything I needed to know about Valorant. 3 objectives, all with their particular differences. A site has a valuable power position in this window above the objective, which is perfect for either side that gains control of it, and also some difficult corners to swing on attack. B site has a well-balanced approach, and is the best to allow the attackers to gain some map control. However, making that final push can be very difficult due to the tight choke points that can be easily defended by a solid team. C site has a massive line of sight down the centre, which can be easy to defend, but on the flip side, can provide a really quick entry into the site, and the attacking team can gain that long sight line to defend the plant. These options make the map so fun to play, as every round it feels like you're finding a new option to attack. Bind is another favourite of mine. Both fit sights feel well balanced, with A sight feeling quite long range and power position focused, whereas B sight can feel close range and intense. The thing that separates Bind though is the small central lane and the use of the teleporters. The teleporters can quickly change the tide of a battle if used right. They can be used to either get behind a couple of unsuspecting enemies, used as a decoy with their loud activation sound, or for a rapid flank to get a plant off on the other side of the map. That middle section is so vital as well, as it's the link between both objectives, and whoever gains control of that part tends to have the easier route to winning the round. Both of the examples I've just given are perfect showcases of how versatile Valorant's maps can be, as both 2 and 3 site maps have proven to work. On the whole, I would say that 2 site maps work slightly better, with the other examples like Abyss or Ascend. And that being said, a couple more outstanding 3 site maps would really fit nicely into the selection. I wouldn't say any of the maps that are currently available in console Valorant are awful, but if I were to pick a least favourite, I'd probably say Icebox. Now I know this is going to be a controversial decision, as I've seen a lot of love for this map so far in the community. But for me, and I guess it comes down to how I play, I'm just not really a fan of this map's features. A site is extremely clustered, making some fights feel too random, and the centre for me favours defenders slightly more than I would like. But as I said, a lot of people like this map, so at the end of the day it is down to preference and playstyle. I know a lot of people who don't like Sunset, but personally I don't think it's that bad. It can be a little bit hit and miss in times, but I am a huge fan of how quickly you can use the mid of the map to get a flank off. I just wish that this game launched with all of its maps. I get their reasoning of not wanting to overwhelm us, but at the end of the day, most of us are at a level playing field learning this game, so I don't think it would have made that huge of a difference, and I think as an overall experience it would have made the game better. Valorant has really come out at a great time for console. A lot of mainstream shooters are struggling or in their yearly down period, so a lot of players have been desperate to try out a new game. And if you fall into that description, then Valorant is definitely worth a shot, as now is probably the best time to pick it up. Aside from Rogue Company, which has sadly fallen off a cliff since 2020, and an old school port of Counter-Strike that once existed, console gaming has never really seen a tactical shooter, and certainly none more refined than Valorant. The core game that I spoke about is very good, and as a new player, it's been very enjoyable to learn, whilst the new stuff like putting controls on a controller have turned out better than I'd thought. It's for these reasons, and the bright future this game has on console, I'd give Valorant a 70 out of 100 score. I'll reiterate my point from the start. I never thought we'd see this game on console, and quite frankly, I never thought it'd work. But the team that's worked on it have provided a game that fills a wide gap in the market, leaving Valorant free to reap the rewards. But what do you think of Valorant? Is it a good game? Has it exceeded your expectations? And what would you give out of 100? But I've been Ranger, and this has been my launch review of Console Valorant.